we've just spoken about the past quite a bit, but now I'm wondering about the future, and now where's the digital landscape in Kenya going in the next decade, 2 decades? For an example, when you look at like a lot of companies here, like they still don't have a digital presence. For an example, we were just in Masai Mara the other day, or a week ago, I guess now, and we're driving by all these villages and stuff. I can't imagine the barbers and mechanic shops there have too much of a digital presence, unless I'm wrong. In that case, correct me. But talking about that, in the next 10 years, 20 years, do you think there's going to be a lot more demand for digital agencies like yourself in marketing, branding, making a website, applications, etc., all the stuff that you guys do?
So the thing I want to say is that when you think about, let's just talk about e-commerce, right, in Kenya. Yeah. My experience has been, from a digital agency perspective, that the way that people are executing on the ground tends to be a little bit different from what might happen in North America, for instance. Yeah. And the reason for this is, it's almost like always the question is, does a small business in Kenya even have the money to pay for a website? Yeah. And I'm talking about even like a $500, $300 website. Many of them will be like, well, that's an expense. Yeah. But guess what? I can have a Facebook, I can have an Instagram, I can have a TikTok. And what has happened is a lot of young entrepreneurs, as we speak, may never ever have a website, but they are going to have a TikTok, an Instagram, and possibly a Twitter account. Right. And many of them, what they're doing is they're creating these platforms, they put their products there, they market using the Reels or TikTok, whatever it is, and then in most instances, they will have their phone number there or their WhatsApp contacts, and also provide the M-Pesa payment, right? Right, yeah. So I know businesses that are turning over millions of shillings a month do not have a single website. And if you ask them how they're selling, they tell you it's Instagram and TikTok and their WhatsApp account. And that works, right? And that's it. And there's even the WhatsApp status, where you literally put in your products, or you have WhatsApp for Business where you can put a catalog on, and that's how they're selling. Mm-hmm. So in many instances in Africa, you will not have the traditional mindset of you must have a website. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a few social media platforms. Mobile money will be the preferred way of receiving payments. You'll have some guy on a motorcycle who runs around, what we call a boda boda in Kenya, delivering and picking up stuff. And that's how they're doing e-commerce. Right. So when you think about it from a sort of a very sort of micro level, then you'll find that the small or the micros, what they call a micro SME, really small business, that's how they're going to execute on digital. Right. Now, in order for this to all work, one of the key components is going to be connectivity, right? How do you get online, all right? And I think what you can see in Kenya already at a very progressive level, we have both Safaricom and Airtel who are really sort of proliferating the country with 5G and 4G access. Now, what you find, which is shocking, is that there are parts of this country where you'd never anticipate getting a 4G signal. It's now there. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. You also have, in the past year, Starlink recently launched their service in the country. And today, you can actually walk into a supermarket and buy a Starlink. You can go to a Naivas supermarket, awesome. Buy a Starlink unit, plonk this thing on your garden, and you're up and running. Yeah, yeah. As you were saying that the other day, as I was saying, we were in Masai Mara, which is far, what is it, southwest? In the bush. It's in the bush. Yeah. And we got 4G out there, everywhere. Yeah. 4G. Yeah, that's better service than in Canada, better coverage than in Canada. Dead serious. So the mere fact that, I mean, for me, it's kind of like you've got to look at it as sort of a layered approach, right? If I have access, then I have a way of getting online. Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Exactly. Number two, the platforms have won. Yeah. Over 70% of internet time in most markets is spent on social media. Yeah. Okay. That's where we consume. That's where we discover content. We may never go to a news website, but we'll get a link to a news site. So I see a scenario where there's almost like a democratization of access. It'll reach every socioeconomic group across the country. And then once it's there, then the utility becomes possible. Then you can create content. Then you can publish. And then if you have your digital payments and so forth available to you using platforms like M-Pesa, then you're good to go. Going forward, I think it's only going to get better, all right? Meaning that as more people get online, it's going to lower the barriers to business, to opportunities, whatever. Yeah. Already we see, when we talk about the future of work, the gig economy is thriving in Kenya. In fact, notoriously, we're one of the biggest places where young students are doing exams for students in North America. Oh, yeah. And stuff like that, helping them do assignments remotely. Right, yeah. So we have a very, very big gig economy in the country. So I think when you talk about the future of work, a lot of freelance work is happening here already. We are also seeing a proliferation of development centers. AWS from Amazon is here. Microsoft has a development center here. Google has a development center here. And you're doing work with Google. Yes, and we've done work with Google in the past, particularly around the training side. Right. But we see this. Sorry?
That was like the Google in Kenya as they were setting up.
Exactly.
Here, you trained them on the digital scope.
Yeah, the assignment we did with Google was actually whereby we were helping train other digital agencies on Google's platforms.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and how to use them for business and so forth. So you find that there's this situation in the market where there's access, there's obviously the social platforms, the skill sets are going up with development centers and local talent. And in fact, there's a lot of outsourcing happening out of Kenya where companies globally know that there's the ability to do certain types of technology work here, and they're getting talent either on a full-time, part-time, freelance basis to do that from Kenya.
Yeah. So would you say that the opportunity in Kenya is growing in this market?
Oh, massively. I think,
a lot, hey?
Again, when we go into the digital space, it gets very, very interesting. And of course, you can't talk about all of this without talking about generative AI.
Yeah.
All right?
Oh, yeah. So, I wanted to bring that up too. I'm happy you brought that up.
So going forward, and this is an area that, of course, we're dabbling in at Dotsavvy. We have a new area we're calling Dotsavvy AI.
Okay.
And we see the opportunity to consult with clients to help them kind of understand and implement generative AI into their businesses in various aspects of their business processes.
And that's so much opportunity for you guys.
There's
so much more demand, and as it's growing, then people want more of it, and you got it.
We're trying to. Right? It's really early days. Nobody has the playbook.
So you haven't really done too much with it.
No, we're getting into that. We're getting into that because I think what you find is that everyone is sort of fumbling in terms of how to do it, where to start putting it, how to do it safely.
It's also new, right?
Yeah. And I think for me, the reason why the AI moment is so profound is because what I've seen over the course of my career is I call them kind of like reset moments, right?
Yeah.
So there was the very early stages, which is just getting people online. A big reset for us was social media, because until that point, we were building websites exceptionally well, and that was all we did. We built them, we hosted them, we managed them. And then social media came, and it kind of blew that out of the water.
That's what you were saying now. People don't need websites because all that they need is on social media, on Facebook, Instagram.
Exactly. And when you have that transition point or that inflection point, you find that you built this incredible agency that is extremely good at websites, and then suddenly the market is saying, "Oops, there's something called social media, and now everybody wants to be a part of it."
So then how did you shift to accommodate
that? It was painful. That was almost a business destruction moment.
Oh, really?
Because we didn't have the competence, we didn't understand it, so we had to learn all over again how to make this work. Right?
And what time period would this be?
This was happening starting to happen around maybe 2007, 2008, 2005, 6, 7, 8, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And we then had to basically build the competence from zero. That meant hiring people, making mistakes, learning how it works.
But now you're at a point where you're making applications too.
Yeah,
right?
we also built mobile apps. And we built web-based apps over the years. Mobile apps, not so much, but I would say the bigger part of what we do today is largely focused on things that are around social media.
Okay.
So whether it's doing the content, managing content, running ad campaigns for clients, shooting videos, shooting commercials, documentaries, basically content that eventually finds itself on social media.
How do you feel about the future of AI in terms of digital marketing and how that would affect your business?
That's Sarosh, by the way. Put the camera on Sarosh.
Yeah, so for me, I think the big transition point for us now is obviously what AI has done is it's collapsed the effort and the cost of doing some of the work we do. So whether it's the creating the copy, the content, managing AI, doing analytics, we use that for analytics, analyzing reports. It's actually helped us a lot. Okay, but on the flip side, a lot of the work that we used to do that was somewhat premium is now essentially commoditized. Okay, and what that means eventually is that we have seen the opportunity to say, hang on a second, it's one thing to complain about how AI and other tools like Canva and so forth are sort of collapsing the premium. So where's the value going to be? And we see that by elevating our business more towards what your typical McKinsey or Deloitte or PwC would do is advising clients and being the trusted advisor around digital transformation and AI is where we have more credibility. And case in point is just last week I was with a former client or potentially a new client again, is actually coming to us and saying, look, we have this website, right? It's a big part of their business because they sell insurance online and all, but it's pretty bad right now. So what can you do for us? And our conversation is no longer, we're going to be the guys actually building it. we're advising them on how they should go about it, which might mean that we do project management and even select the vendor of choice, which may not be us at all. And we now move a notch up to being more of an advisor at a strategic level as opposed to being an implementer.